Welcome back to our channel. This Tuesday at Fairmont Crest promises to be anything but peaceful, as a host of mysteries, fears, and ghosts from the past resurface all at once. I have countless theories, and the events about to unfold could throw everything into utter chaos. Chelsea takes center stage this time, as the terrifying specter of Allison suddenly returns at the most vulnerable moment. Teasers for the Beyond the Gates episode airing Tuesday, August 25th, reveal Chelsea spiraling into panic. The date marks the one-year anniversary of her abduction by Allison. Even more chilling are the mysterious calls from an unknown number where the caller remains silent for a few seconds before immediately hanging up upon hearing Chelsea's voice. Has Allison truly returned, dragging Chelsea into a new nightmare? Or is this simply the lingering effect of psychological trauma that never truly went away? Chelsea isn't the only one in danger, though. Heather continues to play a high-stakes game with Martin and Smitty, especially as their investigation threatens to expose secrets she is desperate to keep hidden. Meanwhile, Andre is forced to confront his complicated past with Heather, a past that seems to haunt him all the more the harder he tries to bury it. At the same time, June becomes a source of support for Tyrell. Vanessa prepares for a major change, and Randy brings Joey information that could once again shift the balance of power. So, are these mysterious calls a warning that Allison has returned? How far will Heather go to stop Martin and Smitty from digging up the truth? And most importantly, what secret from Andre's past is about to be revealed? Join us as we delve into every clue, for this episode could trigger a chain of events far more dangerous than anyone imagines. Okay, let's assume everyone is lying. Just right off the bat, let's operate under the assumption that not a single person in this town is telling the complete truth. If we look at it as an investigation, that character Heather Wallach is extremely suspicious. Actually, suspicious is the understatement of the century because we know she is the impaler. But the way she is operating right now, there's a logical gap here that I can't ignore. She's at the Department of Motor Vehicles DMV, ostensibly to handle an issue with Smitty. Smitty, the investigative reporter, who just won't quit. He took down the plasma ring in the DMV, but that wasn't enough for him. He wants to topple the whole system. He wants to unmask the impaler. And he recently told Martin that he is not leaving town until he gets the truth. This is where my brain starts going in a million directions. Smitty is digging into the red market, and Heather's criminal enterprise is getting way too much heat. I think the film is giving clues in a very subtle way here. It's not what the characters say that matters, it's what they're avoiding. Heather isn't just going to ask Smitty nicely to back off. She has decided to play a game with Martin and Smitty. Wait, actually, why Martin? Let me back up. We know from recent events that Martin is secretly planning something massive. He sat down with his mother, Nicole, and casually asked if he should scale back after his campaign or jump into a bigger project. Nicole, being the incredibly intuitive mother she is, immediately saw through it. She literally said, "This could upend your life. What are you going to do, Martin?" So what if Martin's bigger project is exactly what Heather is using to trap him? I mean, not exactly, but something like that. Heather is a master manipulator. She sees Martin's ambition, his post-campaign hunger, and she's weaving him into this game to mess with Smitty. Is this game just a warning, or is it a trap? But then I think again. Heather doesn't do warnings. If Smitty is getting this close to her identity as the impaler, she's not going to just slap his wrist. She's going to build a labyrinth. She wants to use Martin to force Smitty to drop the investigation. If Smitty keeps digging, Heather will be forced to take drastic measures. I hate that I understand why they did that from a writing perspective, but it makes perfect sense. She has to neutralize the threat. Speaking of the plasma ring, I can't help but connect this to Jacob's current nightmare. Jacob has been investigating the plasma ring too, and look what happened to him. He got absolutely battered by his own contact. Ren cornered him in a warehouse and told him there would be a price to pay for his snooping. Now Jacob is so paranoid he's hiding in elevators just to meet with Grayson, the lab tech who is desperately trying to avoid him. Jacob is aggressively demanding answers from Grayson, while Ren is threatening his life. Is Ren working for Heather? Strange, really strange. The whole thing is strange. If Ren is the Impaler's muscle, then Smitty is in even more danger than he realizes. Smitty thinks he's just dealing with a white-collar DMV red market ring. But he's actually kicking a hornet's nest filled with people like Ren who will literally beat you to a pulp in an abandoned warehouse. Okay, I know I just said the opposite about Heather being subtle, but listen to me. Maybe she's panicking, or maybe not. I don't know. Let's shift gears to Andre, because this is really complicated. Heather's other reason for being in town is to reconnect with Andre. They have a past. A very messy, potentially destructive past. Andre used to be this globetrotting playboy with zero attachments. Now he's married, faithful, and settled down. Heather looks at this new version of Andre and basically thinks it's a joke. But ultimately, she doesn't care about his personal growth. She wants something from him. What does she want? A photo, an incriminating photo that Andre took. Why would Andre keep something like that? Maybe it doesn't matter, but I noticed that Andre is constantly haunted by his past. This photo must be the key to destroying Heather's secrets. It has to be proof of her identity as the Impaler, or at least proof of a crime that would put her away forever. Will Heather use their shared history to force him to hand it over? Absolutely. She is going to threaten his marriage. She will dangle his new, perfect, faithful life over a cliff and tell him to hand over the evidence or watch it all burn. If Andre refuses, Heather won't hesitate to ruin him. But that doesn't explain why Andre hasn't destroyed the photo already. If it's that dangerous, why keep it? Maybe it's his insurance policy. Like, basically, something of a kind of mutual assured destruction. My thoughts are moving faster than I can type, sorry. Let's look at the other DMV news because I feel like it all connects somehow. June is comforting Tyro because Jessica broke up with him. That seems like standard relationship drama, but in this town, who knows? Meanwhile, Vanessa is preparing for a major change, a new look, a new identity. Why the drastic action? Is she trying to hide from someone? Is she connected to the red market? I mean, probably not, but you never know. But here is the real kicker. Randy and Joey. Randy's main mission right now is to track Heather. He's investigating her every move, and he has some very interesting information to share with Joey. Randy has likely seen Heather interacting with Martin Smitty, and maybe even Andre. What did Randy discover while secretly tailing her? Did he see her setting up this game? When Randy brings this information to Joey, how is Joey going to react? Joey is Heather's brother. We have to look at the psychological dichotomy of familial loyalty versus objective morality. Actually, no, that sounds too serious. Let's just say Joey is going to be incredibly conflicted. Will the information make Joey realize that Heather is in danger? Or will it make him realize that Heather is the danger? Joey has always tried to protect his sister, but if he starts suspecting the dark secrets she's hiding, if he even gets a whiff that she is the Impaler, that sibling dynamic is going to explode. He might have to choose between saving his sister and stopping a monster. And then, oh God, then there is Chelsea. This part of the story just breaks my heart, but it's also terrifying. Chelsea cannot shake her fear of Allison returning, and why should she? It is exactly the 1-year anniversary of the day Allison kidnapped her. The psychological trauma is hitting her like a freight train. She is reliving every single emotion from that horrific day. And to make matters infinitely worse, she's suddenly getting mysterious phone calls. The caller just listens to her voice for a few seconds and then hangs up. On Tuesday, Chelsea is going to have a full-blown panic attack. She's going to lash out, dumping all her fear, anger, and frustration onto someone close to her. Whoever is on the receiving end of this emotional outburst really needs to understand the context. She doesn't mean it. She is just drowning in PTSD. She needs comfort, support, and love right now. But let's look at the facts. Are these mysterious calls actually connected to Allison? Why does the caller hang up right after hearing Chelsea's voice? Is someone deliberately trying to trigger her memories of the kidnapping on the exact anniversary? Wait, hold on a minute. Allison is supposed to be in prison. Hopefully, she is still locked up and can't hurt Chelsea anymore. But what if she smuggled a phone in? Or, and this is a terrifying thought, what if it's not Allison making the calls? What if it's a relative of Allison's, someone who blames Chelsea for Allison being locked away? The timing is way too perfect. A one-year anniversary doesn't just coincidentally align with creepy hang-up calls. This is a targeted psychological attack. Is this the beginning of a brand new nightmare for Chelsea? If Allison can't get to her physically, she might be using someone else to torture Chelsea mentally. Let me try to pull all these threads together, because my brain is jumping between ideas and I need to organize this. We have Heather the Impaler desperately trying to protect her red market, plasma ring empire from Smitty. She's dragging an ambitious Martin into a trap to neutralize the reporter. We have Jacob getting physically beaten by Ren over the exact same plasma ring investigation, proving how deadly this secret really is. We have Heather blackmailing a reformed Andre over an incriminating photo, threatening his marriage. We have Randy tracking Heather and bringing the explosive truth to Joey. And completely separate from the criminal underworld, we have Chelsea being psychologically tortured on the anniversary of her kidnapping. It's all about control. Heather is trying to control Smitty, Martin, and Andre. Ren is trying to control Jacob through physical violence. Whoever is calling Chelsea is trying to control her through fear. But let's go back to Heather's game. The game. What kind of game do you play with an investigative reporter who refuses to leave town? You feed them false information. You make them chase a ghost. I bet Heather is going to use Martin's new project as bait. Martin wants to make a big splash post campaign. Heather will feed him something that looks like a massive opportunity, but it's actually a dead end or a frame-up designed to make Smitty look like a fool, or worse, get Smitty killed. If Smitty keeps digging into the red market, Heather will be forced to eliminate him. She can't afford to be exposed. The Impaler doesn't leave loose ends. And Andre. I keep thinking about Andre's photo. If Heather is so desperate for it, it must be the smoking gun. But if Andre gives it to her, he loses all his leverage. If he doesn't, she ruins his marriage. It's a classic catch-22. I hate that I understand why they did that, but it's brilliant writing. It forces Andre to choose between his past and his future. Okay, I know I just said Heather is in control, but listen to me. What if Randy is the wild card? Randy is following her. If Randy sees her meeting with Ren, or setting up the trap for Smitty, Randy holds all the cards. Joey is going to be the ultimate deciding factor. If Joey turns on Heather, her entire empire crumbles. Strange, really strange. The whole thing is strange. I feel like I'm missing a piece of the puzzle. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I notice that everyone is keeping secrets from the people closest to them. Martin from Nicole, Heather from Joey, Andre from his wife. Chelsea is probably trying to hide how terrified she really is until she finally snaps. It's all going to blow up. I just know it. The tension is unbearable. I mean, not exactly unbearable, but you know what I mean. It's fantastic television, but it's making me crazy trying to predict what happens next. If she does that, then, well, we'll see. I need to rewatch that last episode again.